Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, hello. My name is Aspasia, and this is my YouTube channel, Asparagus Reading, where I typically talk about bookish things, but sometimes other things. If you haven't already seen the thumbnail or the title of this video, today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite contemporary and just overall romances. This is kind of like a little celebration, a little hint to Valentine's Day that's coming up the next couple of days. So basically what I'm going to do is just kind of like put the picture of the book here, or if I have a physical copy, I'll just hold it up and we'll just talk about the books and just maybe like a little bit of why I like them. I will be honest, some of these books, the romance is not the main theme or part of the book. Some of them, the romance does take a bit of a back burner. So if you are looking for something that is primary romance, like I said, just keep in mind, some of these books, the romance is not the main plot of the book. We'll discuss it a little bit as the books start. So the first one we're going to talk about is actually a recent favorite that I read last year, and that is All the Feels by Olivia Dade. This is a new adult contemporary romance. This follows Alexander Woodrow and Lauren Clegg. Alexander is a character you actually see in one of her other books, spoiler. He is a celebrity actor, and he recently has been in the news for some scandalous things, and he's getting to the point where the show that he's currently working on is like, listen, if you keep acting up and being foolish, we're gonna have some issues. We have to involve our lawyers, because he's just doing some things that's not really reflecting very good on the show. So before they decide to do that, they decide to hire Lauren, kind of like to babysit and watch him, keep him in check until the show ends. He could do whatever he wants after that. And so she ends up kind of just following him around, keeping in contact with him, living with him temporarily to kind of just do exactly that. But of course, because he is a king and he does not stand for crap for anything, especially when it comes to women, he does some things and gets in trouble. And so, personally, I think the description on the back of the book doesn't cover the full book. The conflict kind of starts about halfway through, and then there's another little mini conflict about like 2/3 through. So you do kind of see how the two characters interact before then, and then also how it affects their relationship throughout. And you also see how it affects his relationships with the other characters, even from those from the first book. I really enjoyed this one because it does talk about some other deeper topics. Like I said, Alexander does not stand for any crap, especially when it comes to women. So there's a couple of discussions of domestic violence and mental health. And I believe at one point there might have been something with suicide, because she did used to work in the ERs. I think she talked about some of her previous cases and things like that. And this book was just ended up being like a very unexpected read. Like, I knew I was going to like it. Like, I knew 4 stars minimum, maybe even 3.5 stars. I did not expect to become so attached to the characters and to enjoy it and to give it 5 stars and to be crying when I read it and just like overall just obsessed with it. And this has become my favorite of all the Olivia Dade books I've read so far, and I'm really excited to continue reading more because I feel like every time I've read a book by Olivia Dade, the next one just gets better and better. This book is Far From the Tree by Robin Benway. This is another really popular favorite of mine. This is like a more teen YA contemporary fiction book. There are themes of love and romance in here, but I feel like it's more family love and finding yourself more than it is romance. There are romance themes in here, but it's a bit more on the back burner because, like, not the most important thing. I think the most romance you really see in here, I would say, is between Maya and their girlfriend. So this book follows three siblings who find each other because of different circumstances. I believe it all starts off with Grace after she has given up her baby for adoption, and really kind of just triggers a lot of emotions and some feelings for her because she wants to kind of find her family and her mom when she was also given up for adoption. So she decides to kind of reach out and reconnect with her siblings that she hasn't seen basically since they were babies. And the three of them kind of just come together and get to know each other and grow their families and their relationship, while also trying to come to terms with the fact that their mom is not in their life and just trying to figure out if they really want to find her and what happened with her and things like that. I do believe I do believe that each sibling has different opinions on whether or not they should do that. And like I said, I really enjoyed this one because for me, I think I would enjoy this on Valentine's Day, even though I'm not in a relationship. I think I would really enjoy having that comfort and that feeling of that family connection and just having that love for with a family, whether it's blood or found family or adopted family. And I just really enjoyed it because it feels like a really giant warm hug and warmth of, closeness and security and safe and, again, love, even if it's not from like a romantic relationship. This next book, again, romance is not a main theme of the book, but it is seen throughout the book. And that is With the Fire and High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Again, another favorite, I think, of like last year, maybe the year before. I can't remember what year that I read it. This follows a teen mom, Imani Santiago. She is currently balancing the life of being a teen mom, but also trying to go to high school, graduating soon for college, but also just trying to have a part-time job and just be yourself and do typical, teen stuff like going to prom and going to see your friends and going out and all that kind of stuff. And you are watching her as she kind of just struggles to figure out that balance, also find herself outside the identity of just being a mom, and also trying to figure out some of the things with her family. Yes, there is a bit of romance in here. I believe there's a guy that is trying to pursue her, but she's kind of a little bit like, I don't really have time for you. Not really looking for a relationship right now, but I could give you a chance. I do believe there's other romance going on. Like, a lot of romance tends to be with that guy pursuing her, but you don't really, it's not like, that's not the main theme, but there's also some romance with some of the side characters. I really enjoyed this one. I definitely felt like a deeper connection to Imani. I'm not a teen mom, so I don't really know a lot about that. I do know my mom was, and a lot of my friends are, so I know about it, but like I don't know it personally. I do know what it's like to kind of feel like there's just so much going on in your life that you're really struggling to kind of balance that. I feel like a lot of college kids, even sometimes high school kids, just really struggle to kind of figure out that balance of like, when should I be doing schoolwork but also doing sports, but then going to work and like being social and being my family, just relax. Like, you're just struggling to have like a decent balance, but also like you're trying to figure out who you are, who you want to be, and your identity. I just really enjoy this because, again, this one, like this, both teen mom characters, there is the struggling of balance, figuring out your family ties, family relationships, finding yourself, identity. Is these two absolutely really really loved. Now for a book that has some romance. So this is Blackout, which follows multiple characters. It's written by 6 authors: Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, India Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nick Leune. This is an anthology of short story collection of little stories about and following, really, a bunch of Black characters in New York during the COVID-19 quarantine, during a blackout. There's a whole lot going on. So basically, these teens / young adults are just living their everyday life in New York, and the COVID-19 quarantine aspect is not like a big theme in it. You just hear them like, oh, I'm wearing a mask, or I just do this, like nothing super like, oh yeah, quarantine news, like it's just like little subtle things in there. They're just living their life, trying to go back to normal, and there's a giant blackout in New York. There's no power anywhere, so you can't call anyone. There's like no internet. You can't see. It's pitch black. No computers are working. All of that. So you're kind of seeing how all these people are navigating that life, trying to figure out what to do next. Because a lot of these people had plans and things that they hope to do, but when it comes to a blackout, you can't do those things. With the blackout, it just makes things for people a little bit too difficult to kind of do things. Like for example, you're trying to go to a party. How do you do your transportation? What if you run out of gas? What if you can't get your Uber or let your Uber know that you're there, but because your Uber doesn't know where you're at? Like, what if Uber can't get the GPS open? What if you don't know if the party was canceled? Like, it's just, blackouts kind of suck. They kind of push some things back. So you kind of see how that happens. Each story follows a different pair and their romance. I believe one of them follows 2 exes from months, maybe years ago, as they are, I think they bumped into each other and then they're forced to walk home together. So I think one had something the other needed, and then one didn't really want to be by themselves. So there's that. There's another couple who reconnect on a subway train station. I believe one of them had like claustrophobia, and so the other kind of comes to comfort them or like check up on them sometime afterwards. Another one I think is between an Uber driver and a passenger. I think he intended to get some gas, but then the whole hot mess happened, and then when they try to go get gas from a gas station, the gas isn't working or something like that, so they end up walking. It's a whole thing. So that ends up being a bit of a romance. I think there's a couple of more in here. It's very short, very easy to quick to read, to fly through. I really enjoyed this one. I read it through my Libby, read it once, maybe twice, and ended up buying my own copy because I really, really enjoyed it. I would like to meet the authors and hopefully get them all to sign, like maybe they're each individual stories, or maybe just get like one page that they all sign. One of my favorite parts about this is the dedication. It's like two black kids everywhere. Your stories, your joy, your love, and your lives matter. Your light in the dark. And one thing I really liked about this is that it's a black story without trauma. You know, like a lot of black stories, whether it's in media or in books, it often has trauma or is rooted in trauma. Which is true. A lot of black history is trauma related. It's nice to kind of read something that is just very normal and calm and loving and natural and just like hopeful and fun, and I just really enjoyed this one. This next one is Tashi Bouyan's Counting Down with You. This is her contemporary romance debut from last year. There's another one coming out this year called The Show for Two. This is a fake dating trope romance. Absolutely adored it. A lot of fun. Some people don't really like it just because I feel like the main gripe was it was cheesy, or they just don't really care for the high school settings much anymore, which makes sense. I think a lot of people in the booktube community, at least the people that I follow, are having a bit of a shift in reading taste as they have gotten older. So this may not be enjoyable for anyone or everyone anymore, but I still enjoy it. I don't know about you. But this basically follows Karina and I believe his name is Ace. So Ace is basically failing English, and Karina has been asked by her English teacher to tutor him in English to kind of help him out. But since he is a bit embarrassed to kind of confess that to his family, he tells them that they're fake dating. They're dating. They're fake dating, but he tells them that they're actually dating. And so the two of them end up sparking a fake dating romance because she wants to kind of like help him keep that persona. And then I think, what does she get? I can't remember what she gets out of this. I know he buys her books, and like they buy like ice cream and like snacks when they go to like little shops and stuff. But I think that's, I don't remember if she gets anything else out of that other than that. She's also kind of on her own for about a month because her family has gone somewhere to go visit and do some stuff. And during that time, she's really just trying to figure out what she wants to do with her life and how she wants to kind of tell her parents, like, hey, I really want to study English in college. I don't really want to do any medical or science. I want to do English. And just also just coming to the terms of realization that she might actually have some really real feelings for this guy, which may not go over very well with her parents. And there's also some themes of anxiety. And yeah, I ended up giving this 5 stars and really enjoyed it and highly recommend people to read. I might end up rereading this sometime before or maybe even after Tashi Bouyan's second book is released. This next book I'm sure you probably have already read or heard before. It's a very popular read, and that is Love Hypothesis. This is a book that I recently reread this year, and then I read for the first time last year. It is supposed to be or used to be a Reylo fanfiction. I know nothing about Star Wars or Reylo. I just know the characters in Star Wars, and that's about it. And so when I read this, I didn't really get the connections until people started pointing them out. But again, since I'm not into that universe or that world, I didn't really care or really notice or really see it. People always call him Adam Driver. I cannot stand Adam Driver. Nothing against him. It's just like, you meet a certain person or you see like an actor and something about them just does not click with you. Like you just don't like him. Adam Driver for me, no. But Adam Carlson, we like him. So this is another fake dating book. This one is set in like college, academia. I think he has a PhD. I don't know if she has one. I think she's going for a PhD. So they're adults. Okay, they're in their 20s. I think he might be in his 30s. These two decided to start fake dating because Olive needs to convince her best friend that it's okay for her to date her ex because she wants her best friend to think she's over her ex and doesn't want to feel bad for being interested in her ex, which we'll talk about in a second. That's a little thing we need to talk about in a second. And Adam decides to kind of go along with it because the school that he's currently working at basically think he's a flight risk. They think he's not going to leave. Like he's not really tied down to the town or the area. He's not married. He's renting a house. He has a lot of grants in other places. Like they think that he might just leave their job. So they don't really want to keep paying him and giving him certain grants and money if he's just going to leave. And so as of right now, they have frozen some of his money and his aspects that he needs for his students to do like their lab work and things like that. And so he's like, well, if we fake date and we do stuff, it might make them think I'm like trying to settle down. They might like unfreeze what I need. So they fake date. So there's fake dating trope, there's grumpy sunshine trope. I think there's like one bed trope. I think there was another trope in here that I cannot remember at the top of my head. I really enjoyed this one. I'll give it like a 4.75 stars. I think I definitely saw some things that I can understand people don't like it. I saw some errors, some in there, some things that was kind of like, I was watching a vlog recently by Amanda from Read All the Books, and she talked about how for their grown age, you're really out here fake dating. And I was like, you're right. Like, when you think about it, they're like late 20s, 30s. And I was just like, I found it very difficult to kind of picture them to fake date, or these people that I know of that age to fake date. Like, I just felt like, what are you getting out of it? You're a grown adult. Like, I definitely felt like that was more of a younger age thing to kind of do. And so, like, when I was rereading, I could definitely see that, like, is this really necessary? Like, why don't you just tell her, like, you're a grown woman, just talk to your friend. But, yeah. So, in terms of the best friend, not a big fan of that best friend. I don't really like how Olive continuously feels pressured by the best friend to kind of do these things, almost pushed to do these things, because there's certain parts of the book where the best friend is like, do this, go kiss him, go kiss him, go kiss him, go kiss him. Just go kiss him. Go kiss him. Or there's one part where she's like, sit on his lap. Sit on his lap. I need you to sit on his lap. Sit on his lap. Sit on his lap. And it's kind of just like, if your best friend is telling you, like, I don't want to do that, like, I don't want to bother him or interrupt him, or like, I'm not comfortable with that moment, why would you continue pushing it? So that, for me, bugs me, because I've just felt like it was not right for the best friend to kind of be pressuring her and pushing her to do these things. It was very clear that Olive was kind of like, like, even if she was in an actual relationship with Adam, and she's just like, hey, I don't want to do that right now, don't keep pushing it. Like, I don't know. So the best friend, to me, that one kind of irritated me throughout the book, but I still enjoyed the other parts of the book. Oh, speaking of, I also wanted to mention that they are, I think, demisexual, asexual. She does not feel any sexual romantic attraction to anyone until she, like, really knows and trusts them. And so you gotta see that gradual interest in Adam increase as she gets to know him and trust him some more. This next book is one that I read last year twice, maybe 3 times, and also one where romance is kind of on the back burner. It's not the main theme. It's a very favorite of mine, and that is Sleeping Around by Morgan Vega. Morgan Vega is a author / booktuber in the bookish community. I'll leave links to them all down below. I was part of their like launch team, kind of advertising and talking about this book before it came out, and even still talking about it after it came out, because I really enjoyed this book. So this follows a girl named Coralie, aka Corey, that's her nickname, who is now going off into her first year of college. And she's incredibly excited. Like, she's like, I'm going to be living in Harmony Hall for the music students. I'm going to be doing this thing. I'm going to get first cheer. I'm going to be living it up in college. Like, let's go. She gets there, and she finds that they have kind of messed up in terms of her living assignments. Technically, she wasn't accepted into the music program, and technically, she does not have a room to sleep in. So that becomes a whole hot mess. And while she's trying to figure that out and kind of just try to survive college, bouncing between places to sleep, she's also kind of fighting with one of her roommates, because she has 2 roommates and one of them is just absolute garbage. So she's just trying to figure out, like, where to live, where to sleep, that she feels comfortable and safe enough to stay, but also trying to find a time to continue practicing her violin so she can become first chair and try to get back into Harmony Hall, where she was intending to be and really hoping to be in the first place. This also has some strong family themes, because she is a foster child and living in a home with a bunch of other fosters and adopted children. So you're seeing her kind of put a lot of that she's learned from foster world and adopting into her college life. You kind of see her like bring that up a few times, or like how her mindset is. You also see a lot of the found family things that happen. There is a bit of romance in here between her and another character, but that does develop a bit later in the book, and you do see some romance between some of the side characters, but it is not the main theme, so you don't see that a lot. But I did really enjoy this one. I really like the college themes and just trying to like find yourself and figure yourself out and filming stuff, family themes in this. Basically, very similar feelings that I had for this and for this. These all have something to do with found family or regular family, and figuring out yourself and your identity, going through high school and college, and just, typical high school, college things. This next book is one that I've also read multiple times and really enjoyed. 2-3 years now? I don't even know how long it's been. That is Red, White, and Royal Blue. Everyone knows Red, White, and Royal Blue at this point. It's a very popular, very favorite. It's a new adult romance. They do start having intimate relationships about 100 pages in, I think. So if you're not someone that really wants that so soon, probably don't pick this up. It's also marketed as enemies to lovers, but the enemies does only last about 100-ish pages. So a lot of people were very disappointed in that. So do keep in mind, if you're looking for enemies to lovers, that doesn't really last very long. So this follows the first prince of what is he called? Basically the equivalent to the president. This follows the first son of the President of the United States and the equivalent of him to the UK. Okay. So the two of them meet for the second and third time in their entire life at a wedding. They invite a bunch of top political people, because that's what you do when you're famous. And the two of them kind of have a little drunk rivalry, and they end up knocking over a big expensive wedding cake, and it gets flashed all over the news, and people are concerned because they're like, what is going on between the USA and UK right now? Are we at war? What is this? And so for them to kind of fix that and kind of calm things down, they are forced to kind of do a fake friendship. And they are tasked to do a couple events and a couple photos, a couple little interviews and things like that, trying to make themselves look good, because they kind of screwed it up right now. Because for the United States, his mother is trying to get reelected for presidency, and this is not looking a little too great for her. This might kind of screw things up. In the process of them trying to fake being friends, they do gradually become actual friends and even develop a bit of a romantic relationship. But because they're both very heavily in the spotlight and on both sides, not entirely sure how that sexuality in that relationship may be accepted or interpreted for, the entire world, they keep that under wraps and very secret for quite a hot minute, and kind of just navigate a secret relationship, but also trying to be this person in such a big political spotlight, but also trying to just be someone that's, in college / new adult, just trying to be yourself. I really enjoyed this one. I do think that if I were to reread this now and watch more reviews, my rating would probably go down a bit. Which is very just typical when you read a book. The first time you do all these things and you reread, you pick up on things and you don't remember certain things. Other people bring up some very valid points that might change your mind. Also, I have DNF'd Casey McQuiston's second book and have absolute interest in her third book. So I am scared that my initial reactions and thoughts of this book might have been slightly incorrect. So I'm a little scared to reread it, but it is what it is. So the next few books I'm just going to put on the screen here, because I do not own physical copies of them. And the first one is a cheat sheet. This is by Sarah Adams. This is basically about these two best friends who have been basically best friends forever. So he's a star football quarterback type player, and she's his best friend that hangs out all the time. And unfortunately for him, which is something that happens a lot when best friends when there's a boy and a girl, is that his girlfriends tend to get jealous and they leave. And almost every time he chooses his best friend. That's your best friend. I can get a new girl. Bye. And I think at one point they go to some event to kind of celebrate something, and she ends up drunk and she ends up saying a little bit too much. And so their agents kind of come together and they're like, listen, we're going to need you to kind of fake date, because this kind of look good for him. This look good for us. Let's do this. So they decide to fake date. And because he actually has feelings for her, he just hasn't told her, and she has feelings for him, but she hasn't told him. So it's kind of awkward, because they're like, I love this guy, but I can't tell him they're fake dating. That'd be awkward. He doesn't like me. But, typical things. He ends up coming up with a cheat sheet with him and his bro friends, basically just trying to figure out how to win her over and tell her how he really feels. Again, it's a fake dating romance. Obviously, they get together in the end, and it was cute. I really enjoyed it. I could definitely see why people really enjoyed it. I do believe it just got a cover design. I am interested in reading more of Sarah Adams. I think I've read 3 other books at this point, and so far, hasn't been a miss. This next book is another one that romance isn't a main theme. It's not really intended to be. And that is A Fear After All by Raquel Marie. So this book is one that I recently read and really enjoyed. This is more about loving yourself and finding yourself in your sexuality and your identity. And being able to accept that, as you grow, you may change, and, you other people will change as well. And it's, even though it's hard to kind of accept that you are changing and that they may not like that change, it is who you are and things like that. So I really enjoy this one because it is a queer story where the main character is figuring out their identity, find out who they are, and the love interest does not end up with them in the end. And it's really just about them figuring out who they are and kind of just coming to terms with it, and just, being a little bit messy in the process, and we're just trying to figure it out, especially in terms of people of color and, certain roles that you play in your life. So for example, being a teacher's daughter or being a church's daughter, like certain things in your life may affect figuring out your sexuality, things like that. And I really enjoyed it. 5 stars. I have 2 copies coming in the mail because we are here to support our queen. Raquel is also another bookish video creator. I believe they are on a bit of a hiatus right now because they are now doing author things, and I'm really excited for more people to have this book in their hands and to really enjoy it. Ooh. This next book I'm going to talk about is The Donut Trap. I believe I read this in like November, December of last year. This is basically about another actor celebrity, which is not thinking about it, I've read a lot of celebrity books. Anyway, so this guy, he is in LA or whatever town for whatever reason, and he decides to kind of go to the donut shop to kind of try them out. And he accidentally bumps into a girl who works there and knocks over a bunch of their donuts. So this place kind of does like gourmet donuts where each week is like a different flavor, and she was pissed because those are very expensive, very special edition donuts that were made to order for someone at week. So that was a moment. He does end up coming back later on though to kind of apologize and also to ask her for her help, because I think for some reason he ends up being like asked to be like on one of the baking shows. Like the funny ones where you don't know how to bake, or like they call celebrities to come bake, kind of like do stuff for charity, thing like that. So they kind of ease tensions by working together to kind of, for her to teach him how to bake and prepare him for the TV show. But in the process, they end up falling for each other and starting a relationship. But there is a bit of conflict there because she is struggling to kind of figure out and navigate relationship being with someone that is so public and so has such a public and basically just a big public life, a celebrity. And I believe their relationship is a secret for a period of time because they don't really want a lot of people to know, and they also don't want that to kind of affect his life and his job, and also just her job, because like she's very private and doing her own thing. But there's also discussion of depression and I think family death of parent, I believe his sister had recently given birth and she's going through some depression and postpartum, and also kind of just struggling with the death of their parent, which is like off page before the book even started. So he's going with that. And I think the main female character, I think she's just trying to figure out what to do. It just in terms of the relationship and also some of her family relationships. And I really enjoyed this one because it felt like a bit more realistic relationship between 2 adults. Like they were very slow, they were very accommodating. They compromised for one was busy, one wasn't. They did like long distance for a little bit. Like it just felt like a bit more realistic and less cheesy compared to other books I've read in the past. And I just ended up really enjoying this one. Also just the food aspect that was in it. So next one is Love in the Wild, which I talked about a lot. This is a Tarzan romance retelling, more adult romance. This basically follows a girl who's like the Jane character. Not exactly Jane, but she's kind of like the Jane-ish character. She ends up going to somewhere in Africa, and while she's there, like the very first day, her group, the tourist group, end up being attacked by some poachers because they're like, get out of here. And almost every single one of them is killed. Tarzan shows up and rescues her and takes her like back home, and he's like, human. Very intrigued by her, very interested by her. She's very intrigued by him because she's never seen like a man live out in the woods like that. and they end up building up a romance. Obviously, it's very quick romance. It's very fast paced. It does give a lot of vibes of the Tarzan live action that features Margot Robbie. I definitely feel like it kind of followed a bit more of that than it did the animated version. And I really enjoyed it because I really love the live action movie. I ended up watching live action movie like twice while reading this because I was just like, I was eating this up. And I feel like there aren't very many Tarzan retellings. Like every time I look it up, this is the only book that pops up. Like every time I look up Tarzan retelling, only thing that pops up. So I'm really hoping that maybe in the future we can get some more of those because I really enjoyed this one. The last two I'm going to be talking about is actually just some authors because I couldn't really choose just one book. And that is Tessa Bailey and Alicia Rise. So these two authors I have read a few books from in the past, and I think I've given every single one 4 and above stars. I've really enjoyed all their books. I believe for Alicia Rise, they have done like a series where each book or romance kind of centered around technology. I think one was like the woman worked for a dating app. I think another one was like a YouTuber blogger. And I really enjoyed the aspect of technology because that's like a bigger thing that we're doing now in our own lives. And kind of seeing how that will play out in romances in comparison to kind of just meeting randomly on the street. I definitely feel like electronics have been playing a big part of our life now when it comes to romance. Or just trying to get into some relationship or just meeting people overall. And so I really enjoyed these books in the past. I would like to continue reading more books by her in the future. Tessa Bailey, I cannot think of the name of the series, but I have read a few Tessa Bailey books in the past, and I've absolutely really enjoyed those as well. I do believe she has recently got some hype for what's the blue book? It's Happened One Summer, something like that. Like it's a blue book talking about summer. It's like a reddish blonde girl on the cover. I put the cover here, of course. That is one I haven't read yet, but I have heard good things about that and previous other books on top of the ones that I've already read, and I wouldn't mind reading some more in the future. So with that being said, that's all the books I'm gonna be talking about today. Like I said, I really enjoyed all these books. A lot of if you would have asked me a couple years ago, I would definitely not consider myself a romance reader. Then they felt like I'd be more fantasy, sci-fi reader. Maybe a little bit of nonfiction here and there, but I definitely feel like I have dived a lot deeper into romances, especially with books that, like this one, doesn't have romance as a major theme. And also just romances that I feel like I have been able to connect to a little bit more. I just really feel like I've enjoyed romances a bit differently now than I used to. Let me know what some of your favorite contemporary or just regular romances down below. Let me know if you prefer YA, new adult, or adult if you don't really care. Let me know some of your favorite romance tropes. If you have made it this far in this video, leave a pink or red emoji to kind of celebrate Valentine's Day and just romance in general. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And also, happy Valentine's Day or Galentine's Day, whatever you decide to do, even if you're not celebrating. I'm not. I have to go to school, and I'm probably going to be reading books all day, so there's that. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is where you are, and I'll see you in the next one.